There are people who move through life without a close circle. They are not difficult to know. They did not fail at friendship. They simply discovered, gradually and honestly, through years of trying, that the version of connection most people call friendship rarely goes deep enough to feel real. And shallow connection does not just feel unsatisfying to them, it feels like more effort than it is worth. So over time, they stop reaching for it. Not with bitterness, just with the quiet acceptance of someone who has learned what they actually need and stopped pretending that shallow friendship was enough. They would rather be alone than be with people in a way that does not feel true. And in a world where most social connection stays comfortably at the surface, that preference leaves them with very few people and a very large amount of space that the world consistently reads as loneliness. It is not always loneliness. It is sometimes just honesty. And that honesty comes from somewhere. It comes from knowing that your standard for friendship has always been different. You have never wanted friendship simply for the sake of having friends. And as you get older, certain things become clearer. Your interests change. Your values become clearer. And some friendships naturally fall away. There is a type of person for whom friendship has an extremely high standard. They feel things so deeply and process connections so completely that superficial ones drain more than they restore. The energy required to maintain a friendship that never goes anywhere real exceeds whatever comfort that friendship provides. And so over time, not through any dramatic decision, but through the quiet accumulation of choosing depth over quantity, they find themselves with few people and a social life that looks small from the outside but feels more honest than anything a wider circle ever produced. Some people naturally value quality over quantity when it comes to relationships. And researchers studying friendship and well-being found something surprising. The number of friendships a person has matters far less than most people assume. What matters is the quality and authenticity of the connections that do exist. One relationship where you're genuinely known, where you can speak without editing, exist without performing, struggle without managing the impression of struggling, is worth more to the nervous system than 20 relationships where none of that is possible. But beneath all of this, there is something deeper. For some people, the absence of friendship did not arrive through preference alone. It arrived through experience. Friendships that ended without explanation. Trust extended and not honored. Vulnerability offered and quietly used against them. The self they allowed to be seen, received with indifference or with judgment. And the mind drew its conclusions. It learned that closeness carries a specific risk that aloneness does not, and it adjusted accordingly, built distance where openness used to live, chose the known safety of solitude over the uncertain territory of trying again. The nervous system adapts to experience. When trust repeatedly leads to disappointment, distance can begin to feel safer than connection. Psychologists studying attachment and social connection have found that people who experience repeated relational disappointment often develop avoidance patterns, a way of moving through the world where the desire for connection remains, but the actions taken consistently create distance. The aloneness that results is not what they wanted, it is what felt survivable. And there is a profound difference between those two things. And once you understand that difference, that your distance was never about not caring, but about protecting yourself, something shifts. You stop measuring your life against people whose needs are different from yours. You stop assuming that every empty space needs to be filled. You stop treating your caution as a flaw, because what looks like withdrawal from the outside often feels very different from the inside. It feels like self-respect. You have spent enough time investing yourself in conversations that went nowhere, enough time trying to build closeness with people who only wanted convenience, enough time shrinking parts of yourself just to make a connection work. And eventually, you learn something important. Not every connection deserves access to you, so you become more selective, not colder, just more aware. You notice when someone is performing. You notice when a conversation never moves beyond the surface. You notice when you're being asked to trade authenticity for acceptance. And for perhaps the first time in your life, you stop making that trade. Because real connection was never about being surrounded by people. It was about being seen by the right ones. And when that happens, it feels different. There is no effort to become someone else. No constant translation. No pressure to make yourself smaller so other people can feel comfortable. Just the quiet feeling that you can finally be yourself. And perhaps that is what you were looking for all along. Not more friendships, just a few relationships where you no longer have to pretend. I hope you find a moment of peace today.